What is up, fantasy football geeks? Haven't made a video in a while, but I got some requests to make some videos on how to make a trade on Yahoo Fantasy Football. I'm sorry if I'm distracted. I'm watching the Tower, the movie The Tower is right in front of me, so I'll try not to be too distracted. Let me start by going over where to start. The first thing you got to do, I'm already on my page. I'm actually at overview, so this is where all the teams are at. This is me. He hate me too. By the way, look at that logo. I made a video on how to put up a logo if you want to go and check it out. So I'm going to go to He Hate Me Too, and I'm going to create a trade. So this is my page here, or my team. They call it my team page. I'll see right here. It says my team. So what I'm going to do is I am going to come up here where it says create a trade. So these are all the players that I can trade. Now some of these players, if they're high picks, they cannot be traded on most leagues. So depending on what your commissioner said, they can't be traded. And they'll have a circle with a crossed out circle over the name. So we're going to go to create trade. I'm going to hit that, and it's going to take me to this page. So I'm going to come up here. So over here is all the teams in our league. So this is our 10 league team. So I'm just going to pick a trade. So El Capitan, I'm just going to pick at random. So I'm going to see what kind of team he has. I'm going to hit trade, and it's going to take me to his team. So let's say if I change my mind about who I want to trade with, I can come up here to where it says other team and hit the drop button, and I can, as you can see, I can pick any of these guys here. Let me just pick it. Let's say I'm going to pick Spartans. I'll pick that, and then it goes to his team. So all his teams are going to come up. My teams are going to come up. It's going to come up down here, and we're gonna create a trade here. But for now, we're going to go back to El Capitan, and we're going to make a trade with him. So here we go. Let's see. I want to see if I can get. I actually really need a receiver, so I don't think he has any good receivers anyway, and the good receivers that he does have, he's playing them, so I don't think he's going to trade. Just remember, guys, when you trade, make sure your trade is not so ridiculous that you're guessing that people are going to accept your trade because you offered three crappy players for one. It doesn't work that way. Nobody's going to take three crappy players for one, because all it takes is one good player to make your whole season. And most of the time, 99% of the time, offering crappy players for a good player doesn't work. It's almost an insult. It's like, hey man, don't you know that I know a little bit about football? Like if you offered me Julio Jones for Rashard Matthews, A. Hooper, and Ajay, do you think I'm going to take that trade? I wouldn't take the trade. I don't know if you would take the trade, but I know I wouldn't take the trade. So just my thoughts on that. So we're gonna let's go with Abdullah. I like Thompson, but just for the sake of this argument, we're gonna do Alan Hearns. I don't even know if he's playing. I think he's sucking this year. So I checked his box. You can check as many players as you want for a trade. So these are the players that I want from him, and I'm going to offer. If I go down to my side, I'm going to offer. I'm just clicking McFadden, Peterson, and Gore. So 3 running backs, and then what I would do is I would come here to continue, press continue, and it's going to take me to this page. So from this page, it's going to tell you basically, are you sure you want to trade? And as you can see down here, send proposal, evaluate, and select different players or cancel. So this is the proposal. These guys, and I can write a note here. What do you have to lose? He's in last place. What do you have to lose? Or whatever you want to write in there. Something to try to convince them that it's a good trade. So I'm going to actually. I don't really want to send this trade So I'm going to evaluate it first just to show you. I really don't want to do it, but when I go to send trade, it's gonna automatically send him an email and say, hey, he hate me too sent you a trade, accept or reject, and then they'll accept it or reject it. So I'm going to evaluate this trade, and now it gives me the numbers of all the guys that I want to trade, and a bunch of information. If you go down here, it gives you a bunch of information. So right now, these are the guys that I have, and these are the guys that he has. So I am trading Frank Gore, Peterson, and McFadden for Hearns, Abdullah, and Blunt. Honestly, I wouldn't do that, but like I said, it's just to show you. So it gives you their stats, their points, their projections. It gives you this is me, this is him. Just pretty much everything that you need to know about this trade. I think, and this is a simple video. I mean, it's not much to it other than it's a simple trade, and all they got to do is accept or reject. All this is self-explanatory, how your team looks before the trade and how it's going to look after the trade. So if he accepted my trade, I would have Blunt, Allen, Hearns, and this. So this is a good tool to use. It's free. I know that sometimes you have to pay for some tools here. Maybe we'll make a video later. So I could send the proposal, or I could still compare more stats. I just hit compare more stats. So let's see. So it brings you back to this. So what I like to do is I like to go here to, I mean, you can pick whatever you want, but I like to go to this season and see how they're doing. So as an example, it gives us the total points of how these guys are doing throughout the season. So as you can see, Blunt is probably the best player on here as far as points, where Gore and Peterson are not doing as well as Blunt, although Gore surprisingly this season is doing almost as good as Blunt. So when I look at this trade, I'm evaluating the points. So I can see that Hearns is at 46, which is pretty low. We're at week 8 and he has 46 points. That's pretty low. So again, I probably wouldn't do this trade. So I like to hit this button here to do even more research. I like to see how they do each week. So these are the total numbers, not projected, what they actually did for week 1, 2, 3 through 7. As you can see, we're going to be in week 8 and it has a bye, but I can see that week 1 he did 4.2, 4.2, and 14.20, 8 points, 4.20, 2 points, 3.70, and 10 points. So very erratic. Unless I'm really desperate and I don't have anybody else, I would consider playing him. But at this point, I'd probably look for somebody else that is not so sporadic. I know it would be hard, especially when everybody on the bench, especially by week 8, is doing pretty bad. So you have decisions to make, and of course, you could always go to the team for team information. Is who has him, just all the information you would ever want. So this is important, by the way. So he's ranked 138 and he's got 38 targets, 26 receptions, 335 yards. That's pretty low. 335 yards is low with 2 touchdowns. We're in season 8 and he only has 2 touchdowns. Not that a lot of these guys get touchdowns. They're hard to come by, but he's supposed to be a leading receiver over there. For somebody to be a leading receiver, it's pretty bad. Anyways, guys, that's the way to. I'm going to cancel this trade, by the way. I don't want to put it through, so I'm going to cancel that, and it's going to bring me back to this. Anyway, that's how you do a trade, and let me know if this works out for you, and good luck to you and your fantasy team.